Thank you for tuning in once again. I don't know about you all, but I, every now and then, am very grateful when I come across a feel-good story. And so that's what this is. Something began in Brooklyn neighborhood one afternoon during the early and darkest days of the pandemic. Roy Nathanson, who's an accomplished and honored jazz musician, came out on a second-story porch with his alto saxophone, and he began to play Amazing Grace. Roy appeared again on his porch at 5 p.m. the next day, and the next day, and the next. Soon other musicians began to join him. Bass, drums, guitar, melodica, trumpet anchored the socially distant sidewalk ensemble. In the days and weeks that followed, banjos, drums, flutes, horns, and the instruments indigenous to Brooklyn's myriad of cultures made various appearances. David Gibson, who is the director of the Center on Religion and Culture at Fordham University, happens to live in that neighborhood. And so in a Commonweal magazine article in August, he wrote about his neighborhood's what he called Jazz Vespers. Love that title, Jazz Vespers. So he wrote, "They played through rain and wind. Street life hummed along with the instruments. In the first few weeks, ambulance sirens were a mournful counterpoint to almost every performance. The Q train rumbled along the track behind Roy's house, its horn blasting on occasion. Delivery vans and box trucks made their way up the block, sometimes slowing to catch a few bars of the music. Pedro the postman weaved through it all, delivering the mail. Curious passers-by stopped to listen. Some were strangers, some neighbors. There were skateboarders and cyclists, dog walkers and strollers. All the colors and creeds of the neighborhood stopped and listened. Some wept. All applauded. And of course, everyone began taking cell phone videos. You know, as Americans, we have to record everything. As the weather improved, the onlookers increased. There were maybe 25 or 30 at a time some days. In May, as the dogwood in front of Roy's house bloomed, lockdown life began to ease. Spirits lifted. The tunes grew more up-tempo, more upbeat, more diverse. It was never a jam session. Each day, the music was posted online for the performers. Everything was intentional and planned. Neighbors who only originally knew each other by sight now knew each other by name. Acquaintances became friends. Friends introduced us to strangers. We began to collect money to help those without work and for local social service groups. The 5 p.m. concerts continued for 82 days, ending with the final 2-hour concert in late June. But as David Gibson writes, the 5 p.m. Jazz Vespers continues to bear fruit. The musicians created a website, 5 p.m. Porch Concerts, to raise money for community agencies helping the neighborhood recover from the pandemic. They set up a program to give music lessons on various front porches to any kid in the neighborhood, regardless of their ability to pay. Others are planning other things. Faith and hope are wonderful, he wrote, but charity is best. St. Paul would agree. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, that famous passage on love, he ends with, in the end, 3 things last: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. In the middle of a pandemic, no less. May we be about love to all we meet as we continue the newest dance we've all had to learn, the pandemic slide. Amen.